All right, what's going on, everybody? Christian, aka Jero, here. We've got one I'm very excited about today. So, as usual, we are sticking to our slow VOD review format. We have some help in the video department for this one, though. This video is brought to you by Batsu, Batsu on YouTube as well. I will make sure to be linking his stuff in the description. So if you're wanting to just follow the source and or kind of just see a faster paced version of what we're doing, that way you can go on to him and give him the support he deserves. Because this content, honestly, this is probably, not to glaze too much, the cleanest YouTube Riftbound video content that I've seen. He kind of does a lot of what I'm trying to do, just in a bit of a slower fashion. He's very quick with a lot of the pictures and descriptions for the plays that he's making. And it's obviously going to just save some time on my end of the content for having to backtrack to and from to make sure we know what all the cards do. He actually highlights a lot of the important cards in each individual turn. So that's pretty terrific. But in addition to that, we just have a very high-quality deck here and player because he won back-to-back Riftlabs events, and the most recent one was done with this Darius hook deck. Now, this deck does a lot of very cool things, in my opinion. Right off the rip, the thing that I notice, again, as I've said, coming from other games, when I look at a lot of the deck lists for Riftbound currently, they are kind of obliged to just play a very large number of 2-cost units, right? I think 6 is pretty universally the minimum, and a lot will go up to 8 or even 10, because you just can't really afford to miss on your first turn when you're on the play, right? When you're going first. Because of the Darius Legend ability, you actually kind of get to bypass that weakness. And if you notice, you're still playing 3 Daring Poro, obviously, because I think it's just generically the best 2 energy cost that you can have without any extra abilities. But also, this deck is on the aggressive slanted side, so right? So it is, at the end of the day, when you're trying to conquer a battlefield, 3 Mai for 2 energy, which is a pretty hard clip to beat. But again, the interaction with Seal and automatically proccing your Darius Legend ability to make mana means a lot of times you could just start the game on one of your 3 casting cost cards as well. And that adds a huge range of consistency to the deck that a lot of other archetypes are just not going to have access to. I would be very surprised if this deck kind of falls victim to the known antidote of beating yourself, right? I think this deck is far less likely to just open up on a lot of very poor or unplayable draws. So that's very appealing. In addition to that, you have access to Falling Star and Cleave, which I think at this point are pretty universally just some of the most powerful spells in the game that a deck can have access to. You'll notice here we're only playing 2 Falling Star, which I think makes a ton of sense, right? We're kind of obliged, because of our Seal of Unity angle, to lean into a lot of these order resources units. And the double recycle cost on Falling Star can be very detrimental, especially when you see that our spread is only 6 and 6, right? I think it's not that unreasonable that we won't even be able to play Falling Star until turns 3 or 4 sometimes. And because of that, you don't want to have a bunch of them in your hand when they're not castable, or you don't want to be relying on them, right? Also, in addition to that, this deck, as you can see, you care about the resources in your build-up a lot more than a generic aggro deck. So I think reducing the need to have to recycle resources every turn of the game, especially your red ones, is a pretty important attribute of deck building here. But, of course, the main highlight is going to be Baited Hook for my fellow Magic Boomers. This is effectively just your birthing pod, I guess more realistically, birthing ritual equivalent of the New Age, which is basically just going to let you ramp your smaller units into bigger ones without having to cast them or recycle the resources to play them. And as if that weren't good enough, you can see where you get extra added synergy with units like the Spectral Matron, which then rebuy other units from your graveyard, right? So there's just an incredible synergy built into this deck, and it is not really a surprise to me, both from watching Batsu play and seeing the deck constructed, that he has been able to dominate with it. So, without further ado, kind of let's go ahead and get into the gameplay. And as you can see right there, he did that part of the work for us. So the battlefields of this game are Startipped and Trifarian War Camp. Batsu goes on in the video to discuss how he thinks Trifarian War Camp is just one of the best Darius battlefields anyways. But in this finals matchup, the opponent is playing Master Yi, and he thinks it's just the best battlefield against Master Yi because they're so kind of dependent on going one unit at a time up until they get their Aurora active or just multiple big units in play, right? So, for obvious reasons, if you're planning on more of a swarm, lots of units to the board angle, you're just going to get more value long-term out of the war camp, right? Than somebody that's only trying to play one unit at a time. So that makes a lot of sense. And then you've got Startipped, which is when you hold here, channel an Exhausted Rune. So that's going to be kind of the one that they're mostly going to be fighting over as soon as somebody takes it, right? You can kind of imagine the scenario where maybe people start on the war camp because they don't want to have to keep fighting, because once somebody goes to conquer peak, the other person is always going to be kind of enticed to combat there as well, right? Because you never want to let that person get that free rune if you can help it. So, fun little start here with the battlefields. Oh, and right off the rip, Batsu starts off with Seal plus Vanguard. Yep, that's what you want to see. That is what you want to see. Yeah, this combo is just so powerful. So immediately we get to start with 5 might worth of units on our battlefield, and we get to protect ourselves from having to recycle a bunch of extra resources throughout the course of the game. Opponent leads on Poro, has 1 orange rune up. That's not really representing that much, so we're pretty free to take our first 2 points here. And let's see. Yeah, we're just going to go right into the baited hook, right? So we get to use the baited hook because of our Darius ability. And we're going to sack. So right here, the Vanguard that we sacrificed is actually 4 power because that was very good sequencing by Batsu, right? So we immediately took our point here because you're not going to not take your point, right? I was saying at the beginning of the video, if you had to choose between one battlefield to take, I think that you would generally start here unless you were very confident that you could defend it. But we're the aggro deck, right? We don't have any interest in denying ourselves a victory point when we have plenty of units that are going to be on the board. We can keep this fight going. If every single turn we exchange a point with the enemy, trading control of this battlefield, I think we can live with that. We definitely want to take our free point. Very good play. But now we have access to a 5 might unit off of our baited hook. So it's very hard for us to miss because we've got the 3 and then we've got the +1 from this battlefield. So we're up to 4. And we hit Darius or Kaisa. That's insane. Yeah, Darius definitely makes the most sense. And yeah, we just have so much power early on the board. They're going to send in their Poro, take over that battlefield. And which one is that one? Let me remind myself. Body. That is Pit Rookie. When you play me, buff another friendly unit. So we're buffing the poor. Yep, but we didn't need it for that combat, so that all makes sense. All right, perfect. And they pass the turn sitting on 3 runes. Okay. So here we have Glory Seeker. We have, let's see if it, yep, perfect. We have Glory Seeker. We have Falling Star. We have Hidden Blade. We have Draven. What makes sense here? So, what danger is there for just immediately leading on combat? I'm not sure we need to Falling Star this, because I feel like we've got pretty good combat, no? Maybe, let's see. Well, I guess we don't have a really easy time double spelling here, do we? Yeah, I don't think we have a very good time double spelling here. 3, 2, so yeah. Very interesting. Are you actually just supposed to Falling Star here? And then are you supposed to Falling Star both of them? Or are you supposed to just kill the Poro? You're probably supposed to go for both. But then what happens if they have like an on guard? Then you can just send in afterwards, right? It's not terrible. I don't know. I don't think you care about the 2 might. I might just Falling Star just the Poro. It's like uber conservative. But we don't have another way to double spell. And you don't really want to send in your Darius and have it die to like an on guard or something. Yeah, I would probably ultimately settle on Falling Starring the Poro and the battlefield unit, the base units. But I can definitely imagine a world where you don't want to do that. I definitely think it's right to play Falling Star here, just the way our resources are set up. Because I think we do want to double spell, right? So we are Falling Starring, and he is, I guess, just targeting the Poro. Interesting. All right, I like that play. That's very, very conservative. That's a uber conservative play, but I like it. I like it. Oh, we hit Matron off of the... That's insane. We are so far ahead. I'm surprised... Wait, I'm surprised we're not reinforcing. I'm really surprised we're not reinforcing here. Uh... Huh. I definitely understand not wanting to hide. That makes sense to me, because I think we want the ability to play Draven next turn, when presumably it'll be just gigantic, right? We can get it to that 9-10 power range pretty easily next turn. I think I would be really enticed to reinforce here. I'm also, now that I'm backtracking, I'm like pretty surprised that we didn't try to bait out a trick. I think we should have maybe just tried to do the other half of Falling Star. I don't know. These decisions are definitely... I see where Batsu's coming from, for sure. All right, so we're just going right in there. Opponent is tapped out, so this makes this play pretty easy for us. And we're just taking over left battlefield, and then we're hooking the Vanguard away. We only get a 4 this time. And we hit Draven. That's pretty goofy. I'm surprised we... Let's start that turn over again real quick. I'm a little surprised that we did this over. So he just really valued removing the opponent's Yi. Yeah. I mean, I guess the logic is the opponent has 5 cards in hand already. We're never going to be able to fight a long game. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I wonder if... we could have found a way to hide this earlier in the game with a turn with our seal, maybe. Did our seal get used every turn? I guess it probably did, right? I really like this line by Batsu. I think this line makes a lot of sense. I'm just wondering if there was a way we could have snuck one extra Draven into our base. But as it stands, I think all of the other decisions have been pretty good. And not obvious either, which I think is really nice. I think a lot of the decisions that were made here, you can make out the decision tree for all of them. But they're definitely not like the grade A obvious plays. All right, so now we have a tasty Feyfolk. We've got to be able to just win here, right? Oh, maybe not. We have all expensive cards. And I guess we're just going to try and hold. Oh, we missed on hook. That's unfortunate. I think we're really strong, though. I mean, I don't really see how they remove 23 might. 7. So it's already counting the buff from the battlefield. Yeah, I don't really see how they get to 23 might. It would require, like... It would have to at least be 1 charm, no? Maybe even 2? Oh, well, there's a charm. Uh-oh. Oh, we're still drawing. That means we probably don't have it. Yep, and that's going to be the game. Opponent cannot deal with all of the units that we've got on the right battlefield, and we are going to start our turn and hold. Very nice. In Batsu's video, he doesn't show any sideboarding. I'm not sure if he knew if the opponent was playing Aurora or not. But as you saw from the deck building screen, another really huge benefit to Darius as an archetype, I think, is that you get access to salvage in the sideboard. Salvage is really, really good. Oh, my mic just broke. You have really good access to very important sideboard cards. I think salvage is one of the better cards that you can have access to at the moment. So we're setting up our mulligan. Much less explosive hand than what we had last game, but we can probably still make do. So we've got Zaun Warrens and Dreaming Tree. We do not have any immediate way to draw a card off of Dreaming Tree at the moment. All right, let's slow this down so we can backtrack everything for everybody. So we've got Glory Seeker. Opponent had Poro plus Ramp. So they took the first point. We are taking our point, and we are going to discard and draw. We discarded the Matron, which I think makes a ton of sense. Drawing Hopeful, we probably... Yeah, all right, so it already looks like he's, again, Batsu going quite quickly in his iteration of the video. But yeah, we're almost certainly just going to play Kaisa into Hopeful here. That play looks very strong. And I wonder if there's any world where we want to try and initiate a trade with the Poro. I don't think so. Well, I guess there's no trick available, right? Because this has tank. Yeah, I might try and just let that battlefield be empty. We'll see what Batsu decides. Definitely jam the Hopeful here as well. That play makes a ton of sense. You just want to add to the board. and he just gives them the hold points. I think that makes a decent bit of sense. Wow, opponent just jams their Yi. That's crazy, no? So you can't quite make out from the nameplate here how many cards are in the opponent's hand. It looks like it's maybe 6. I would be really surprised if that was the best line. Generally speaking, with these kind of decks, when you're playing against the aggro deck, if you have the choice, you don't always have the choice, right? But playing the Yi here kind of signals to me that you're trying to kind of race, that you're trying to stay on tempo with the Darius deck. And I feel like you're such a dog in that fight, right? Like, a lot of the cards you're going to play, like, eventually you're just going to get stuck being forced to play more ramp cards and more top-end or small-end things, where the Darius is just going to keep playing, like, huge mid-range threats turn after turn. And I just don't think that you can stay on par with them on that. I would have liked to see maybe like a smaller unit plus sit on some mana, sit on some resources, I mean. But again, a lot of the times, you know, we don't see the opponent's hand, right? A lot of times what their draw is going to dictate the plays that they have access to. But just spending all of your resources every turn like this as the controlling, slower paced deck, I'm not really sure I'm a big fan of that. As it stands here, we're just falling short on the Yi, right? Get it out of here. Yeah, opponent's tapped out. We didn't have to play around anything. It makes it so easy. Kaisa conquering there for free. Yep, draw, and then we get to discard draw. And then we just get to add a lot more to the board. We could literally just... Oh, interesting. I wonder, is that better than... Are we not supposed to get to draw a card there? Or do you have to conquer the battlefield? I thought we were supposed to draw a card off that cleave. Maybe I have the wrong battlefield. Oh, I do have the wrong battlefield. My apologies. When you hold a draw, my apologies, friends. I thought we were playing Dreaming Tree. That makes more sense. I would have been inclined maybe to hold the cleave, but I see the vision. And now we double spell ready this Darius. It bumps us up to 7. And we probably, I mean, opponent's just tapped out again. We just fight it, right? Yeah, I don't see why not. We definitely do not want them to be able to hold and draw. Deathbloom goes up to the 9, and they just jam another Deathbloom. We are... So, back-to-back Deathblooms. Right battlefield is open. It's going to be pretty easy for us to get our 6 point off this Kaisa. We don't really want to waste the power, because we might need that power to fight the Deathbloom. But I would be really tempted to just start our turn sending in Kaisa at Zaun Warrens, and then drawing 1, discarding 1, drawing 1. That seems... I can imagine a world where things go wrong doing that, but I can imagine a world where it's our best play by a mile as well. I would do that. I would send Kaisa into Zaun Warrens. Yeah, I think this makes a ton of sense. Getting to draw effectively 2 new cards, because we don't care about this Poro in our hand. Alright, well, we're for sure discarding one of the Poros that we drew. Oh my god, we drew another Poro. Nice little DJ Khaled. Another one. Fucking goofy. Yeah. Terrible draws, obviously. Seems like he's probably talking about that, would be my guess. So we played double Poro instead of Kaisa, with the logic being that we just wanted to hold Kaisa as a surprise to win the game this turn. And do we win the game this turn? That is a buff on the Predator 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we should be able to send an attack in here. No. So we're sending in 10. And then this leaves us enough here. And they have on guard. And that's probably going to do it, right? Yeah, yep, that does it. We lose this one. They get to hold. Tough. Tough. I think a lot of the decisions there made sense, though. Back-to-back Death Boom Predator is very, very powerful. Even when you don't have the Aurora going. All right, so we are starting game 3. Go ahead and get our trademark pause in. This is Dreaming Tree. All right. Let me... Yeah, that's Dreaming Tree, and then that's Arena's Greatest. Yeah, so we're going to... Each player starts off at 1. That's a huge advantage for us, right? I think... right off the rip, I would think this is a huge battlefield advantage for us. Plus, we're on the play. It looks like we started with Glory Seeker. What are we looking at this turn? So, we don't have any tricks in our hand. So, we can't draw off Dreaming Tree. I don't think it really matters which battlefield we go after. I wonder if I would go for Baited Hook here. I don't think so. I think it's a little too risky. I think I would just play the Kaisa. The other thing with playing the Kaisa here, not that this is a different setting because none of our cards, aside from the hook, cost recycling resources, but it lets us kind of ramp into our more expensive cards, which I think is really important, especially when we're just showing this stratagem. I can already probably assume Batsu is planning to try and win the game with that. Yeah, we're just jamming Kaisa here, no? I think it's too early. I don't think you need to play the Manufacturer. The only logic I can think to playing Manufacturer, realistically, would be if you just want to... Oh, this is way better. I wasn't thinking about Darius mana. Yeah, this is way better. Just so much more mana efficient, adding infinite to the board. We reinforce everything. Oh, no, wait. Our opponent doesn't have that. Oh, are we getting Primal Mighted? That doesn't... Does that just kill everything? 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's a 9. Holy cow, what a blowout. What a blowout. That's insane. I wonder if they had access to deck lists. I wonder if Batsu knew that his opponent had that card. Like, clearly not in their hand, right? Because you would never make that play otherwise. I wonder if Batsu knew that the opponent had that card in their deck. That's crazy. We just got, like, 5 for 1. Yeah, we have no board against the E deck. That is not good. And we win this game? That's really impressive. So, yeah, we just Kaisa into hook, spend all of our mana again. That is the best thing to do. Just set up a nice pause there. For those, again, if you happen to be new to Riftbound, but new to just card games in general, I think one of the best fallback plans that you can have when you're sequencing out your turns is how to spend the most of your resources, mana, lands, whatever the resource system is for your game. I think it's very important to try and plan out your turns in a way where you're spending the most resources every turn that you can. Now, a lot of times that's going to manifest as just playing your most expensive card, but not always, right? And now we see 2 turns in a row where we have not been recycling any of our resources. We've just been full going up the curve, and we got to spend 5 last turn and now 7 this turn. And our opponent, even though they had an insane turn with that primal, they had an energy go to waste. And generally speaking, they're probably not going to be playing as on curve as we are. So even though I would say we're not feeling good about this game at the moment, Uh, I think Batsu's still making very, very good decisions. And yeah, the Yi deck has the lead on us, which is not good. But again, as I'm saying, the Yi deck did not spend all of its resources either. They're sitting on 1 energy, which could represent a Defy potentially. But we don't have anything that's going to interact with. Nothing in our hand gets defied, so that's not very important. We are jamming our Vayne, sending it into, and he's highlighting in guard. Oh, we get crushed if the opponent has on guard here, though, right? Yeah, that would have been really scary. But opponent did not have on guard, and we get to hook. All right, let's backtrack that a little bit because he was going through pretty quickly. And then, yeah, we just have 4 plus the Darius mana here. And that makes sense. Darius, second spell, so it triggers off of itself. And very nice. We didn't get to use Hook that turn, which is a little bit of a feels bad, but you do what you got to do. All right, so opponent plays Feyfolk and is up to 6 victory points. What are we looking at here? We have not been able to swarm the board as much as we would have liked with this stratagem. I would be really tempted. It's tough because I kind of want to turn this Cleave into a card. Let me read Feyfolk again just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'd be really tempted to fight on the left battlefield anyways. The ability to get the free conquer with Kaisa plus draw a card off of the Cleave is really interesting to me. Channel 2 resources and draw a card. Yeah, I mean... So either way, we get to draw the card with Kaisa. It's just a matter of... Do we want to draw 2 cards and fight on the left battlefield? Let me go to the Yi as well, because the Yi does not have... Ready, right? Or is the Yi going to be ready? Yeah, he enters ready. That's what I thought. It's that one. So, I mean, they've just got the Yi face up in their champion zone, right? So that's very scary because they would just get the point for holding plus the conquer because we would only have 4 in. It's very scary. I don't know what the play is here. I would... my gut in... I mean, you just, like, always lose to a charm, maybe. But I might... I might try to, like... Kaisa send in on left battlefield. Use the Cleave just to draw a card. So we would get to draw 2 cards for Kaisa conquering. And then we could use our hook. We should probably reinforce first, though, right? 3, 4, 5, I would think so. So we could take this battlefield, draw 2 cards for our Cleave, probably reinforce Draven into this battlefield, and then hook for whatever we find, and then probably reinforce again, and then just hope that that's not enough, right? Because Yi is only 6 might, and we would be representing 5, 8, plus whatever we hit. That's probably safe, no? I mean, we just don't have a way. We would love a way to be able to get to 6 might this turn, which is why I kind of want to fish with the Cleave. But, all right, so let's see how Batsu plays it out. I think I would attack left battlefield, but I respect Kaisa attack right battlefield here as well. You don't really want to give the Yi the extra card plus resources, but... Yeah, he is doing the thing. Oh, wait. He only drew 1 card. Oh, there we go. I think he did that kind of out of order, right? Was he not supposed to attack first? I don't think it really, I mean, if he vocalized it in the game, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it kind of looked like he played the cleave while the Kaisa was in his base, and of course, I don't think you would have drawn the card from the battlefield if you did it that way. But, alright, so drawing Falling Star was actually a crazy good draw. Holy cow, and that's why drawing cards is so important, right? I really liked this line. Drawing Falling Star, I didn't even think about drawing Falling Star. Falling Star is massive here. Falling Star lets us deny the holding point. We didn't have any other way to deny that holding point otherwise. The opponent was going to be at 7, and we were just going to have to figure it out next turn. That's crazy. And now we get to play this Draven. I wonder if we... Oh, we're hooking. Wait. Oh, but we can still play Draven. Okay. Oh, we hit Matron. That is insane. And now we just get Manufacturer back. Extra 1/1. I'm a little surprised. I guess he was just worried about losing the Yi to... But not Yi, I apologize, the Draven. Draven would be 8, so it doesn't lose to Predator. That's really interesting. I would have been really tempted to play the Draven onto Dreaming Tree before we hooked. Everything else looked really good. I mean, hooking the Kaisa, I think, is a play you have to make. Hitting the Matron is insane. Because it lets us just build up our base so well. Oh, and then we're just going to do it this way. That is better. I want to stop there, because that is, I think, better than my line. So, my line, oh, well, all right, so it went a little fast forward, because it already has the next turn of the Predator. All right, so I think Batsu found a better line here. So I kind of wasn't thinking about trying to conquer the right side battlefield, and that makes a lot of sense. So, again, the layout of the way that the points are set up in this game, I think anytime you can get to 6 points, you're very incentivized to do so. Obviously, like 7 and then put your whole board on for like a hold or whatever is a pretty common line as well. But trading this Kaisa in, and it's like, opponent has Yi on board, right? So it's very easy for the opponent, if they had no other even relevant cards in their hand, to take that battlefield back and go to 7 points, right? But I think it's really, really hard for them to, with their 9, 11 resources that they're going to have, be able to take both battlefields, right? We see the Yi, and then what are they going to do with the rest of their resources, right? So being able to take this 6th point and have us threaten to double take next turn for the win, really, really strong line, especially because we've flooded the board now and we've played the game in a way where we're going to be able to stratagem next turn. So this play is just way better than what I was recommending. My play was a little way too passive. My play was way too passive. Again, we're still learning on this channel, right? I expect to be playing at a very high level as I get access to my own cards and, get more involved in the game. But right now we are still learning, and it is no surprise that Batsu found the better play here. That victory point is massive. Opponent goes Death Bloom into hidden card. The only hidden card is going to be Zhonya's, right? That's not going to be relevant. Zhonya's is the card that you want to fight for positioning and priority over the mid game. Zhonya's doesn't do anything here to deny us going for our victory point, so I don't think we care about that. What is the play here? Opponent has, it looks like 4 cards in hand. Yeah, I mean, we just jam stratagem, like the stratagem by a mile, right? Is it not like a complete free roll? All of our units get 5, so we just I don't think anything can happen. Yeah, I don't... So this is in a spot where, just like from other games, it's very important to figure out what you can lose to and what you can play around when you have multiple ways to win the game. So we have 2 different cards in our hand that could, in theory, win the game, because we I can never remember the name of this card, but Hidden Blade. But it's so much more likely that the opponent has Defy, right? the card that we've called out earlier in the game, the 1 energy counter spell. Yeah, we just play Stratagem. Like, there's no... The Yi opponent only has 3 resources. There's no card that they can have if we just send 9 and 7, right? If we just send, what is that, 16? Forgive my on-stream math. If we just send 16 at the Deathbloom Predator, we just win for sure, right? Because I don't think they have then any way to interact with our just 6 might here as well. Yeah, I think this is just the full stop. I think we beat everything here. I think we beat every reasonable card that our opponent could have. Batsu agrees, goes for the stratagem to play around Defy. Opponent has On Guard, which is not enough. That only bumps it up to 14. Looks like a win to me. 7th point, 8th point, right? And that's how he does it. Very nice dub from Batsu. I think this was excellent. So, right off the rip, if it wasn't immediately obvious, I only scanned through the game to kind of just get a trajectory for if it was 3 games, if it was... I didn't actually watch the commentary that Batsu did on it. Those decisions, I think, were not obvious. I think those were some really high-level decisions and kind of like lines of play that had been planned out for kind of like what he wanted the sequencing of the game to be, which is very important because you need to kind of have your base understanding of like the archetypes and what you can beat and what you can't, right? So Darius is almost generally never going to be able to play a super long game with a ramp deck like Yi, and you can see that in a lot of his decisions, right? A lot of his decisions were maximizing his mana, his resource count, and pretty much always fighting for early victory points and tempo. And it obviously paid off. That was excellent. No surprise after watching those games that he's got 2 Riftlab wins. No surprise at all. All right. Also, just very fun deck. Very, very appealing to me for sure. I could easily see this being a deck that when I get my cards in person, something that I try to interact with. But yeah, no, that is gonna do it for us today. If you guys enjoyed this kind of thing, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. I really appreciate it. And also, please check out Batsu. I really impressed watching. I mean, obviously, I turned a 15-minute video into 40 minutes, right? So we're kind of doing a different thing, but I think Batsu's gameplay here looked awesome. His deck looks awesome. The quality of his video looks awesome. Definitely stop by and check out his content as well. It's very clearly top tier. And the more that we can grow the full Riftbound community, the more there's going to be for everybody to kind of look at and get what they want, right? And I think that's what everybody, especially in the Discord, but everybody should just want in general. This game looks excellent. And there should be the resources for everybody for anything that they want. Thanks so much, guys, for checking out the video today. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one. Peace.